Together, we will build what I call an opportunity economy.
Believe it or not, Kamala Harris's economic policy priorities are actually worse than the expected continuation of President Biden's unfinished Build Back Better agenda.
And I will work to pass the first ever federal ban on price gauging on food.
Politically, one of the problems the vice president is up against is that it was Biden-Harris policies that delivered inflation and declining real incomes. In fact, it was Ms. Harris that cast the tie-breaking vote to pass the so-called Inflation Reduction Act.
The yeas are 50, the nays are 50. The Senate being equally divided, the vice president votes in the affirmative, and the bill, as amended, is passed.
Today, while the high price of food is certainly one of the sore points for voters, resorting to Venezuelan-style left-wing populism can only be a mistake.
My plan will include new penalties for opportunistic companies that exploit crises and break the rules, and we will support smaller food businesses that are trying to play by the rules and get ahead.
So far, the detail on Kamala Harris's economic policy is thin, but this sounds like legislation introduced by Senator Elizabeth Warren that would ban, quote, grossly excessive prices as determined by the Federal Trade Commission.
The Biden administration recognized early on and has taken major steps to fight big food greedflation and to help American families.
Under Ms. Warren's plan, business violations would carry a penalty of up to 5% of annual revenue. This would effectively let the Federal Trade Commission set prices. And what is an excessive price? Presumably, FTC Chair Lena Khan and her army of bureaucrats would decide.
There are a lot of things that you could do that make economic sense that help these folks, and it's not just having the government set things. Whenever the government set things, there's going to be shortages, and it's going to be hard to get stuff.
Worth noting, too, that there's no evidence that supermarkets or other food retailers are gouging anyone. Food prices are higher than they were before the Biden presidency, but that is because of inflation.
Prices have gone up. Families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up. That's about having to stress and stretch limited resources. That's about a source of stress for families that is not only economic, but is on a daily level, something that is a heavy weight to carry. So it is something that we take very seriously.
Not exactly reassuring. Fixing prices is a recipe for shortages, as controls would discourage grocery suppliers, and that means empty store shelves.
I am today ordering a freeze on all prices and wages throughout the United States for a period of 90 days.
The last American president to impose wage and price controls was Richard Nixon in the early 1970s. He had to stage a humiliating retreat amid shortages and market dislocations, and prices immediately soared when controls were lifted. By the late 70s, the Carter administration was struggling to recover from price controls on gasoline.
By the time the pumps opened, many had been waiting 2 and 3 hours for gas.
I've been here since 4:30 this morning. It's ridiculous waiting online here. I couldn't get gas Tuesday.
If Ms. Harris really believes in this price fixing, she lacks the most basic understanding of economics.
When I was Attorney General, I went after price-fixing schemes. And when I am president, I will continue that work to bring down prices.
On the other hand, if she's merely floating the idea to get price gouging into a speech, her cynicism is also telling.
Now Kamala is reportedly proposing communist price controls. She wants price controls. And if they worked, I'd go along with it too, but they don't work. They actually have the exact opposite impact and effect. But it leads to food shortages, rationing, hunger.